Hi, James. How are you today?
Good, Gina. It's good to be here.
It's great to see you. Hi, audience. We just want welcoming James Leatul
Latwell, right.
Latuel
Uh-huh.
to Partners in Crime today. He uses his 29 years behind bars as an influence to his award-winning novels, short stories, and screenplays. He's a former associate warden in a maximum security prison, a hostage negotiator, and director of the California State Patrol System. He's won tons of awards and he has a brand new book just released. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I think you've kind of summarized it pretty well, Gina. I worked in the California prison system for 29 years, and um, after I retired, I started to write, but I didn't expect to do that. It was just kind of something that kind of happened. But with that experience, people expect me to write prison books, and I really don't. I write, stories that, are crime fiction, but some of those characters and situations that I ran across in those 29 years, they kind of stick with you. So I use those as kind of the fuel to get the stories, a feeling of authenticity and something that people might be interested in.
That sounds amazing. So now your newest book is Face of Greed. Can you give
Right.
us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Face of Greed. It's a first book in a new series released by Ocean View. Just came out on the 7th, so it's still, hot off the presses. It features a new character, new series, new character. It's Detective Emily Hunter, and she's a Sacramento police detective. And it focuses around Sacramento, and she's going into an investigation on a home invasion that went terribly wrong. The homeowner's been killed, and unexpectedly to her, when she arrives at the crime scene, there's already people there, like the mayor, chief of police. So there's this high level of interest in this case that she's just now getting into. But right off the bat, she knows that something's not right here. There's more going on with that home invasion than first believes. And there's more to that victim than people want to believe. He was a very high powered political pawnbroker in the city, and people wanted to kind of keep him quiet. So she's got to kind of find out what happened in that home invasion that went horribly wrong.
Wow, that sounds very intriguing. Um,
Thanks.
Now, I've read somewhere that you talk a lot about Alzheimer's and that Emily is
Yeah,
dealing with a mother with Alzheimer's. Nick, can you tell
that's
us a little bit about why that was important?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Emily is trying to balance her professional life with her private life, and her private life right now is consumed with serving as the primary caregiver for her mom, who is going in with dementia and early stage onset Alzheimer's. Um, that's an additional kind of a complexity that I wanted to bring to Emily's character. She's got to balance all these particular things that are going on in her life. Uh, they're all serious. It's not like she can just put one down and one aside. But Alzheimer's and memory care issues, I think it's something that a lot of us can identify with. We've got aging parents, we've seen it, or we know somebody that has. My mom had dementia, and some of the things that I talk
Mhm.
about with Emily's interaction with her mom are some of the same things that I experienced. Those moments where you're having a conversation with your mom, and everything's for right right in the present. She knows what's going on, knows who you are, and then she just slips, and it's all of a sudden you're in high school again. And
Yeah.
when are you going to come home from school, and what you're going to do your homework, kind of thing. So it does add a different element to the story, but I think it was an important one to try to include.
It is something that a lot of people are dealing with now, that and helping to care for their parents,
Yeah.
because they're living so much longer, and a lot of people are dealing with that. So that's a really good identifier for a lot of readers.
It is, and the feedback I've been getting, it is resonating with readers that they've
Yeah.
gone through this, or they're dealing with parents with that issue. And yeah, it's a tough one, and it gets pretty emotional. When you're dealing with that kind of a caregiver, um, the roles are reversed. I mean, now you're the parent, they're the child in that relationship, and it really is a different dynamic.
Wow. Now, how do you choose the crimes in your books? Are they reflective of what you're reading or what you've experienced, or just a little bit of everything?
It's a little bit of everything, but every book that I've written, and Face of Greed is the seventh published novel. There's a kernel of something that I experienced in the past.
Mhm.
With Face of Greed, that home invasion that we talked about, there was a home invasion. It was one of the first murder cases that I was involved with. And three gang members broke into a home. It was a local real estate broker, so they believed he would have all kinds of cash, in the
Okay.
house. They broke in, held his family at hostage at gunpoint, and at one point he didn't give them what they wanted, so they shot him and killed him. These gang members, being what they are, they kind of were easy to catch, and they kind of gave up each other in the process pretty quickly. But their line was that this real estate broker was actually a drug dealer, and he owed them money, and he was pulling a gun out of his floor safe when they had him bent over the floor safe to get the money, and he pulled a gun out instead. So they shot him, and it was self-defense. Nobody believed it. The jury sure didn't believe it, and they were convicted. And one of them received the death penalty for the shooting, and the others went the other way. But that story kind of hung with me over the years. So when
Yeah.
I started thinking about this book, and I wanted kind of a home invasion kind of thing to kick it off, I wondered, okay, so what if there was more to that victim than we were initially led to believe? And, what if there was something kind of nefarious going on in that home? And that's kind of how Face of Greed opens up.
Wow. So the crimes in your books, are you kind of like a plotter or a pantser when it comes to those? Do you think through that first, or
Yeah, I'm definitely in the plotter camp.
yeah?
I used to be. The first couple of books were pantsing, just it felt like I was just frolicking in the fields, and wherever I wanted to go, I would go. There weren't enough rules and structure for me. It kind of felt like a hippie commune. There's no rules. I could do whatever I wanted. It smelled like patchouli oil. But I needed something a little bit more structured. That's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
maybe that's my organization from the past career. But so I've definitely gravitated to the plotting aspects, and even before I know the story completely, I'm going to get the characters down first. That's kind of where I start. Is who do I want to live with for the next 6 months while I'm writing this thing? I've got to make them at least interesting to me, and hopefully, if
Yeah.
I'm interested with them, the readers will too.
So 6 months. It takes you 6 months to write a book?
Uh, the first draft's probably about 3 months, and then at least another 3 or 4 months of revision. So probably 6 to 8 months per book.
So are you writing full time now?
Yeah, I sure am.
You're now you're okay. So you've done like three really big jobs in the past. Um, all of them seem to me like really like mind consuming type jobs. So how do they affect you
Yeah,
and your way of life?
think um, working the prison, especially,
Mhm.
because I worked in a number of different settings, but one was the security housing unit. It's if think of it as a prison
Okay.
within a prison. So if you killed somebody
Wow.
in the general population, you came to my unit. So I had this whole unit of nothing but that
Extra
kind of
special people.
people. Yeah, extra special people. So when you live with them for months at a time, at 8-hour shifts, you get to know them pretty well, and
Right.
what
Yeah.
they're about, how they act, and that's the kind of thing that I think is helping me now as an author, is that kind of ability to analyze a character and really get in there and get that kind of flavor into the story that I might not have been able to do otherwise.
You've really gotten to know, I mean, people that would shock the general public.
Oh, sure. Oh,
Like
sure.
really get into their head then.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time with the Hillside Strangler, Angelo Bono. He was my tier tender for a while.
Hmm.
Um, spent, yeah, hours and hours with him. And that's one thing I found with serial killers in particular is they have a different persona that they project in prison than they did out in the community. They don't have to hide anymore. They don't. They're already caught. They're not
Right.
trying to influence, their victims. They're just trying to survive inside like everybody else. So it kind of gives them a different dynamic. They come off a little differently, but it's really interesting to kind of get in their heads a little bit.
I can't even imagine the conversations I'm sure you've had.
Yeah, there were a few. There were a few.
And so you also did hostage negotiation. Now,
Yeah,
was that as a completely different job or like as a extension of?
it was. Yeah, it was part of the prison work that I did. I was the primary negotiator for our hostage negotiation team, and I think at that time I was also a correctional counselor, which mean I had a caseload, was managing, a bunch of inmates. And if something came up, they'd activate the team and we'd go do what we needed to do elsewhere in the prison.
So it was just in the prison or
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, in the prison. Yeah, each prison has their own team. So we're, familiar with that population of, 3,000 inmates or whatever it was, and then that facility, and it was pretty effective that way.
You don't even think about like needing to have a hostage negotiator inside a prison of people who've already been captured.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, bad things happen. It's a different world
Yeah.
in the prison, and you've still got a lot of people that are trying to manipulate the system and think they can escape and will hold a hostage and try to get, some benefit or advantage or, a phone call back to mom. So rather than just ask her a phone call, they'll, do something stupid and take a staff member hostage.
Wow. Um, okay, so back to your books.
Okay.
um, so I was thinking the other day, even at Face of Greed, and the last book that we've done, we've had a lot of reviewers review Dead Drop, which
Mm-hmm.
was a border
Right.
war kind of a situation. But then Black Label, I was
Yeah.
looking at it on your shelf, and I think the thing that intrigues me most is your books. A lot of our readers are women,
Mm-hmm.
but then their husbands want the book too. And
Yeah.
your book, more than any other, I've heard them say, "My husband took it. My husband took it." So how do you
That's good.
appeal to both audiences so well? What is it that you are doing differently that?
Yeah, I'm not trying to appeal to one or the other. I think it
Okay.
starts with, telling a good story. I think what I've heard the feedback from the women writers the women readers that I've spoken with is they really like the characters, the story. They
Yeah.
want to get in their heads and kind of do that experience, as they're reading it. Where the guys are more attracted to I don't want to go the action adventure kind of aspects of
Yeah.
the story because that's not quite it. But there's something there that attracts both. I don't know exactly what it is, but so far so good. Yeah, I'm not alienating anybody yet.
So
I'm
great
happy with that.
characters, great plot. You got it.
I think so.
All right. So which of the books that you've written has been your favorite, either to
Uh,
write or as a plot?
that's hard. That's hard to say because I think for different reasons they've been fun. Face Agreed, I think, kind of taking off with Emily as a new character, and she's just fun to write because she's a little irreverent, a little snarky, a little, she likes to poke the bear, as some people are saying. Um, she's been a blast to write. I really enjoy writing her,
Mhm.
and the sequel is coming out next year, and she's even more of her and her interaction with her partner Javier Medina. That's been a blast to write. Dead
Oh,
Drop in that series was fun too because it was completely out of California. It was in the Arizona desert,
yeah.
but it did spawn from an incident that I had in a prison in San Diego. but that was fun because it was kind of a, looking at a real critical social issue, but bringing it into a crime fiction kind of a framework to have people look at both sides of the immigration issue and kind of understand it a little bit. I didn't take a position one way or the other, but it was kind of interesting to kind of weave that into the story and make it kind of an important piece of the whole thing. So that was fun too. I enjoyed actually both of those series.
Pulling in the facts versus the hype or the
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about Black Label?
Black Label was fun too. It was, I think it kind of set me up to do Face of Greed, because in Black Label we've got a female protagonist.
Yeah.
She's a pharmaceutical executive, so it's a little bit different, but yeah, she gets caught up in a counterfeit pharmaceutical operation, and that story unfolds. But that also, again, even though it's pharmaceuticals, came from an event that I experienced in the prison system. And that was at one point in time in California's history, the Mexican mafia was able to secure government contracts to do business with the state to launder their drug money. And yeah,
Wow.
it ended up, it was pretty significant, but it ended up blowing up, several years afterwards. But yeah, so I kind of took that and what if, they did that, the gangs got control of that and used it as a mechanism to launder their drugs and smuggle drugs into prisons or wherever they needed to get them, and gave them almost a legitimate pipeline to do it. So I kind of took that aspect of the experience and applied it to Black Label.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that incident being like,
I know.
So now, so Dead Drop is a male character, Detective
Yes.
Nathan Parker, right?
Parker, that's right.
And then Face of Greed and Black Label are females. So is
Right.
it difficult to shift back and forth?
It hasn't been. I think part of it is because the characters are so different.
Yeah.
The tones of the books are different. I mean, even in Face of Greed, you're dealing with the serious, issues and crime.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of dry wit that goes through Face of Greed with Emily and her
Yes.
banter with her partner, where I don't think you see as much of that in the Nathan Parker series. It's more of a straightforward, crime procedural, thriller kind of approach. So they have a different tone. They're set in different locations, and like you mentioned, one's a male character and one's Emily. That's been enough of a kind of a differentiation between the two where I can kind of switch back and forth and write each one of them true to that character.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. So do you have like strong women in your life that have affected or impacted your female characters?
Oh, definitely. Definitely I do. I mean, in terms of A Face of Greed, I don't write a female character just, out of thin air. I've got a lot of role models, if you will, that I've had over the years. I worked with a lot of strong women in the prison system. That certainly helped. But I mean, my agent's a woman, my editor's a woman, all my beta readers are women. My wife is my first reader, and none of them are shy about telling me, no, you can't say that, or no woman is going to say that, or a mom's not going to do that and react that way. And that definitely helps to have that kind of a mood ring on where you went wrong.
It's great when you have people that are actually honest and helpful.
Yeah, that does help.
So your network of people that support you, is that a huge network or is it a relatively select?
I think it's more of a select group, especially with the like beta readers or people that I ask for blurbs for the book. Beta readers in particular, I want them to look at a specific aspect of the book. Does this storyline make sense, or does this character? Do you resonate with that character? What about this plot line? That kind of thing. And then people ask for blurbs, which is probably the most painful part of writing, if you ask me, is you feel like you're, Oliver with your little, please, may I have some more? It's painful, but yeah, I've been very, very lucky with people that I respect and appreciate their work. They've been very, very kind for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, so what other types of things do you enjoy doing outside of your full-time job writing?
Yeah, it's writing definitely keeps me busy, especially doing the two series. Um, but I think one of the things that takes up a good chunk of time is my wife and I are involved in therapy dogs. So we're testers and observers for the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So we test new therapy dog teams to go to different facilities. Now, therapy dogs are different than service dogs. Therapy dogs are the dogs that you see, in hospitals or memory care facilities, assisted living. We'd go to hospice. We'd go, to places where people, need that kind of decompression,
Yeah.
and just love on a dog a little bit. One of the fun things we do is go to like UC Davis during finals week,
Yeah.
and we have a bunch of therapy dogs, and the kids are in between finals, they come out and love on a dog for a little bit, and then they go back and take the next final and come back and decompress again. But we've probably done that for about maybe 8 years, and it's been I get more out of it than I ever thought I would, especially when dealing with people with memory care issues, in those facilities.
And how does that help them? Like, does it help them connect to like childhood or?
It does. One of the staff tell us at memory care,
Mhm.
like for example, they're sitting on a couch. The residents are sitting on a couch, and we'll bring the dogs around and they'll pet them, that kind of stuff. And then we'll go behind the couch and come around again, and it's a whole new dog for them. That their short-term memory is that fragile. But there's something about that interaction that triggers something in their brain. We've had staff tell us that these people can't remember what they had for breakfast, but they talk about meeting with the dogs for days afterwards. It
Wow.
does. It triggers something in their memories about their childhood when they had a dog, and that experience and that tactile sensation of petting a dog. It triggers something, so it does help. Those kinds of situations, and it's really fun to see.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That something so simple could make such a huge
Hmm.
impact on so many people.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. They're great with kids on the spectrum. We do reading programs, and
Hmm.
the kids just either a library or bookstore, and they grab a book off the shelf and just sit and read to a dog. And kids on the spectrum are just great with that, and the dogs don't judge them, and they kind of match their energy level, and it's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Wow, that's amazing. So, part of writing a book and launching a book, you get to do marketing.
I
So,
get to,
what kind of
yeah.
marketing do you like?
That I'm still kind of learning my way around it, but um, the marketing piece is something that it's this elusive cloud, and you're shooting arrows at it, and they just go right through it. But I think some of the things that have helped, is getting connected with organizations like International Thriller Writers, Mystery Writers of
Yes.
America, and Sisters in Crime. Those three in particular have been great and very helpful and supportive. ITW in particular does a tremendous job with debut authors when they first come out with their first book, and we support them all year long. Um, and it's really nice to watch the new authors as they're coming in, you know, you know, basking in that spotlight, because they really do put a spotlight. ITW puts a spotlight on the new authors, so
Yeah.
they have a good foundation to work from. And then finding organizations like Partners in Crime, the blog tours. I think that's been a big help on getting the message out and getting a little bit more broad um, release of hey, I've got a book and here's what it's about. You don't feel like you're standing on the street corner alone.
It's amazing. To me, the writing community is so helpful and
Oh
giving.
yeah.
I've been completely astounded by how they help and just love on each other constantly.
Yeah, I didn't expect that when I first came into this business. Coming from
Mhm.
prison where people were, literally stabbing you in the back. I expected this competition and, you know,
Yeah.
nobody can fight for your space on the shelf kind of thing. And it's just not that. Everybody's supporting one another, and it's really fun to see.
Yeah, it's been amazing experiencing it and being a part of the community. Everybody's so
Yeah,
sweet. Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's been fun.
So how do you enjoy sharing your expertise with the writing community? Because you've written quite a number of books.
Yeah, I've got 7 out and a couple more in the pipeline. So
Wow.
and I still think I'm learning. With every book, there's something that I knew that is new that it's like, yeah, I should have been doing that all along. But where I can, I love to kind of help other authors as they're coming in the front door, or if they have an issue with a character, or I get a lot of calls and emails about law enforcement issues and prison issues and prison
Yeah.
probation and parole, the technical stuff. More than happy to help the people with that. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're starting them as early as we can. I've been working with a local library, and there's a summer reading program for kids at the Lincoln Public Library.
Mhm.
And for the last couple of summers, we've been working with them on short stories and how to, basically the mechanics of writing a short story. And they've produced anthologies the last couple of years, and some of the stories are just really, really, really good. So it's kind of fun to see these really young authors, and you just wonder, wow, where are they going to go with this? Because they've got so much talent. If we can just keep them focused in it, it's great.
That's amazing. That's a great way to give back and building into the
Mm,
youth.
very much,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really cool. Um, so we only have a couple minutes left. Do you have anything
Mm.
else you would like to share?
I don't know about sharing, but yeah, I think that with Emily just out, she's been doing really well out there
Yeah.
on the face of grade. Um, I think the sequel, it looks like the title is going to be River of Lies, and
Oh,
it's
that
again
sounds
in
good.
Sacramento. Yeah, yeah, I love the title, River of Lies, and it takes place in Sacramento again. And the storyline is that someone is lighting fires and burning down homeless camps around the rivers in Sacramento. Um, Somebody wants something that these
Mhm.
people that have nothing seem to possess. So they're chasing them out of these homeless camps. So Emily has to investigate, what's behind these fires, and then she finds a couple of the victims weren't the kind of people that should be hanging around at homeless camps. Like a former mayor has been
Oh,
killed in the camp. So it's something more going on in the camps, and there's kind of an unlikely suspect that she finds in the process.
I can't wait to find out more about that. Now, will that be published through Ocean View
It will, yeah.
and next summer?
Probably next fall to winter. Yeah.
Okay.
So this
Well,
one
we'll be
this
on
one
the
just came
lookout for
out.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'll let you know.
That'd be terrific. So, how can readers find you and where do you like to hang out online?
Yeah, I'm trying to do better online. That's one of the things that when I first started writing, it's they drug me to social media, and it's like,
Yeah.
why? Who cares about what I'm doing? I'm doing a little bit better at it now. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are probably the primary hangouts. You can find me at author James Latwell, or just at James Latwell on Twitter, or X as it's called now. You'll find stories about the books, what I'm doing, the therapy dogs, and Not My Cat that has camped out and adopted the house here. There's stories about her. She has her own Twitter page, but we help her. But yeah, I'm there, and if you want to try to find me, I'd be happy to interact with you.
Well, thanks so much. It was great having you with us, and I'm definitely going to have to check out the cat because I've missed that one.
Yep. Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Gina.
and we will talk to you soon.
You bet.